Welcome to the Nerdtastic in 3D podcast.
It's Nerdtastic in 3D. Oh, it's Nerdtastic in 3D. Yes, it's Nerdtastic in 3D. It's Nerdtastic
In 3D. Bong. Bing. Clap.
Bong, bong.
All the above.
Take two.
All the above. Yes, take two for
Take
this evening.
two.
Interactive?
Interactive. Yeah, interactive.
I
take
wish
two.
it was Take Two Interactive. They probably have more success than we just did.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Nerdtastic in 3D. I'm
Howdy.
your host after a long time off, Jack Eckler.
This is like deja vu.
It
for
really
me right
is. It really is. And switching it up tonight. No, you know what? Let's go back to. I'm sorry, Jason. We had started earlier with a take that wasn't recording, going right to left, but I got to take it back old school. To my left
now.
is
It is sexy, Josh LeBrot. I'm going to.
You took a second to figure out your own name there.
Oh, it took me a second to realize his left. I was just like, what is this? I'm Josh LeBrot.
And I'm Jason Carter.
Yes, we are missing Sean Fennell and Adam McFarland today.
We're freaking dropping like flies, guys.
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Those poor sons of bitches are enjoying life, and we're here with
Exactly.
with Stevie.
Enjoying each other. With Stevie, our pet
Stevie,
T-Rex
the
dinosaur.
T-Rex dinosaur. Love that guy.
Stevie.
Since we're making up for the 30 minutes we lost on the first recording, let's dive right back into where we were at.
Just tell everybody we recorded about 30 minutes of the show
I'm
and
going to say it was
realized
like 10 minutes.
No,
It
before
was
like
like 10
It
minutes.
was not 10 minutes.
Yeah,
it was way
it's-
longer than that.
it was like 10.
Before Jason looked at us and said,
We're not recording.
No. Don't you put that on me. That was all the computer. It just decided to stop.
Blaming technology.
sponsored by Apple. And let's move along. The first subject that we're going to go back to is Oscars. Jason watched it over at my place. Josh was too sick to watch it at my place, so
That's why
he
this
watched
voice
it.
is sexy right now.
Watched it at his place.
Still getting over being sick.
Want to give a big thanks to the two members here, Jason Carter, who was nominated for an Oscar for Puss in Boots, and Josh LeBrot and myself, who were nominated for Kung Fu Panda 2. We are all losers.
I've been saying that for years, guys.
We're doing it wrong.
We are.
But you know what? Hey, shouts out to the ILM crew for winning for Rango. That's their first animated feature. And something that we touched on earlier that I'm going to go back to is that I was really pissed that Gore Verbinski did not give them a shout out. And I might be alone, Jason.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, it was really unfortunate, right? Because I think we're particularly excited about the idea that for ILM, this was a big deal because it was their first full animated feature. And it was exciting. It was a big deal. It was a big out of the box of their business model kind of a thing. And for them to not get any kind of real acknowledgement was a little bit of like, really? Come on.
Yes, because they were treated as a visual effects house. They were not treated as a movie. They're
Right.
the people that actually did the movie.
Right.
Which they have some of the most like impressive tools. Like, nobody renders like the way they render, in my opinion. Their realism, which is what Rango looked like. I mean, the glass and like the wood in the bar scenes and stuff like that. That all looked in terms of
Photoreal.
in terms of a technical aspect was freaking amazing.
And I'm sure Digital Domain, which is currently working on their own animated feature, which is a visual effects house that I had worked at, that they have a studio now in Florida in Port St. Lucie currently working on an animated feature. It's got to be excited to think that the potential of a visual effects house being able to jump into the animated world of full-length features is possible. Because I can't think of another visual effects house that actually try to do a full length.
Well, because a lot of visual effects houses, and I'm sure because we can all attest to this, is they just don't have the pipeline set up for it. They have stuff to do, just one-off shots or little sequences here and there. But to be able to render out, be able to process an entire movie and have an entire crew like that, they just don't have it.
Let's talk about ILM getting burned, though. In my opinion, the visual effects Oscar went to Hugo. Now, my understanding is the visual effects budget for just Transformers 3 alone was probably more than the entire budget for Hugo. So help me understand the picking process on that. I'm blown away, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, because we somewhat tried to talk about this with when Joe and Mike were here, but when you were saying, did you see the third one?
Transformers? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You have to admit, even though the movie I actually thought it was entertaining. I actually liked the third one.
Yeah, I'm a fan as well.
But I again was beautifully done, effects wise.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely phenomenal.
Jack, to kind of go off what I think you're getting at here is he really Hugo winning visual
Our really
effects.
segment with Jason Carter.
I mean,
really.
No, but here's what I'm getting at is we've said this before in the podcast and we'll say it again. The main reason that the viewership of the Oscars is declining, in my opinion, is that it's very evident that there is bureaucracy and politics very heavily influencing what's winning awards. So you're not getting things that are necessarily winning awards that per se deserve it over another thing. You're getting things that are winning awards because they're politically charged for some reason. So I don't want to say that this is that the work that went to Hugo wasn't good work. It was very good work. This visual effects was good work. The reason Hugo won was because Martin Scorsese directed that movie. Because he's a name that 6,000 Academy members recognize.
And they respect and, well, I guess you can say respect considering they took them
You think
a very long time to get an Oscar.
if
for
you were to
directing.
ask the elite of Hollywood, who's a more respected filmmaker, Michael Bay or Martin Scorsese? What do you think they're going to answer?
Well,
with?
of course.
Right, but it doesn't. But the point is, it has nothing to do with the filmmaker. Visual effects has nothing to do with the filmmaker.
I 100% agree with you.
It all has to do with the CG soup and carrying out a vision that the director has communicated, but it's all the visual effects house. So the reason Hugo won, really, it's Martin Scorsese. Hey, the work was great. Was it better than Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2? No.
Planet of the Apes.
No, definitely not better than that.
And certainly not better than Transformers. And back to visual effects.
Right.
And I think there's something important to come from this is that I don't remember if we talked about this last week, but Josh, please chime in on this. Josh sent out a very interesting chart about the Oscars and how they're handled and who's on the voting team and just some interesting facts about the Oscars. Josh, you want to go into that? Because I think
I'm trying to remember off my hand, but it was just the fact of
You sound
Like
so
six-
sexy right now, by the
don't
way.
I? Yeah, so the Oscars, let me tell you. Let me break it down for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the majority of Oscars, males, white, over 63.
over
But yes,
63.
Yeah,
And a half.
63 years. Yeah, 63 years is basically the majority.
The mean age or whatever.
Yeah.
Median age.
Yeah. Them kids with them loud musics.
It was like 1%, literally, it was like 1% black, 0.5% Asian. Like the numbers were comical actually when I read the chart. And then they had some other interesting sort of tidbits in there. One was people you might not know are not in the Academy, might think they was George Lucas and Woody Allen. Though Woody Allen now will be a member because he won an Oscar this year.
But they're not in the Academy?
They weren't in the Academy. But once you win an award, you're automatically accepted. And then there was a funny list of, I think there was 5 on there, and this is a problem I don't remember, of people who you never would think were in the Academy but are.
Pee Wee Herman?
He is.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Paul Rubens is.
Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be?
Punch from Chips is a member.
Yeah, Mark Estrada.
Yeah. There were some other ones that I looked at the list and I just couldn't stop staring at their names going,
Look,
seriously?
the truth of the matter is the Oscars is not the People's Choice Awards.
No,
It's
no,
not.
Not by any stretch of the
and
means.
it's not pretending to be. You got to give them that. However, they want their viewership up. They want this thing to still be this prestigious award and for America to think that way. If you want to present your brand, Oscars, as the prestigious award, you have to at least have your finger slightly on the pulse of what America's into. I agree. And to say that Hugo won visual effects over whatever the fuck it was.
Any of them, exactly. You don't even need to.
Ones that weren't even nominated. Sucker Punch, for God's sake. We can name movies not even nominated.
How about makeup? Let's go to talk about makeup for a second. Who was it that won? Was it that Albert Nobbs or something?
No,
it was
for Iron Lady.
Yeah, for Iron Lady.
Won over Harry Potter?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Really?
I'm with you, dude.
Actually, I thought, even before Harry Potter, who was there? I thought another, another movie should have won. I remember in that category, just looking, going like, oh yeah, that was amazing, and then still, nope. Iron Lady.
That's this is the
we
Oscars.
talked, yeah, and that's the thing. We talked. There was a bunch of categories that we went back over and going, seriously.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't. It sucks. I think it's the voting pool who it sucks because they're supposed to be peers, but it's a problem of the peers now to them it's just this older demographic that it's not necessarily their peers. So I think shows like the Annies, VES awards, the SAG awards, where it's actual peers voting for their peers,
sure, tend
to, in my opinion, be much more accurate.
Yeah,
award
we've
shows.
talked about that before in the show. That's people who know the art or the craft that you're being awarded for. They know it much better. So you're not going to get a sound engineer voting on best makeup. Not to say he couldn't if he knew best makeup, but in a situation that's like VES or...
But you wouldn't do it. I mean, we talked about at the Annies, the group of us, it gets sent to us in the mail for people who don't know, for the Annie Awards, which is an animation industry award. There's tons of categories, and this year was ridiculous. I mean, because they made you watch everything. But you didn't have to vote on everything. Right, and when it came to best producer and best make, I just skipped. I didn't think it was fair for me to go through and just nominate and go, well, I don't know. That's,
just like
that's cool. That's just not fair. And they give you that option, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I only voted on certain categories as well.
To people not listening, the Oscars tend to be a little more important for us guys because we work in the industry and because half of LA
money.
gets shut down. At least Hollywood and Highland gets shut down for a good week and screws traffic up.
I asked if you wanted to go get some ice cream at the El Cap that night, and you were just not interested. I don't understand.
Dude, it's ridiculous. One of my wife's old bosses lives just off Cahuenga back there, and that week it sucks. She can barely even get home that night.
You don't get home, you sleep on the street.
So speaking of our industry, some breaking news that got sent out right before I left was Activision, the owner of a little studio called Blizzard, that makes Jason Carter, that makes a little game that I guess a couple people, what is it, 1.2 million or billion, called World of Warcraft?
Wow!
Are going to do what no other studio has done before and lay a bunch of people off. 600 to be exact.
Uncharted territory here.
They do that in our industry? No.
600 people.
Like it's not a, we joke, it's not a light situation that 600 people are going to lose their jobs. I'm being
sarcastic, yeah.
But I mean, the really bizarre thing is, of all the game developers out there in the world, Blizzard is continually making content and they're continually growing as a studio. Now, to be fair, Blizzard in their press statement did say that
only 10%.
We're game development.
Yeah, that it's going to affect game development. Right. 90% is going to be every other part of the company.
Which are people we would know.
What else is there? I mean, I know that a studio has a lot, but like, do you really think there are 300 PR people at Blizzard? Like, what else? A majority of their staff has to be game developers, right?
Well, game developers doesn't, go ahead.
No, I mean, I feel free, Josh.
I was going to say, game developers, it doesn't necessarily just mean if you're on a show that's making a game, you're a game developer.
If I'm on a show that's making a game, I'm a game developer?
No, I'm saying that doesn't mean you're a game developer.
Right. You have to be creating content.
Exactly.
You have to be engineering, software engineering. I get that. But like, so what are these producers, coordinators? Like, I don't know.
Oh, it could be. I mean,
that's 600 people's a lot of people.
What I found interesting, so when I first read the topic, I go, okay, well, the majority of the people are probably going to lose are people from the World of Warcraft division, because I had always been told by friends of mine who work over there that they employ so many people for support in every kind of language because of how popular it is, that I was like, okay, well, there's going to be people like that who get lost. But then when you read the press report, they were very fast to save face and go, World of Warcraft will not be affected by this. Because that's their bread and butter.
Oh, of course.
I mean, they're making their money off subscriptions.
You know what I thought was interesting? I don't think it's just related to the press release, but there's an article I read recently about Blizzard that they have like 18 locations or something like that around the world that I was shocked by that. And it's mostly servers, like regional server locations, but still, that's pretty interesting.
Their kind of main hub is down in Irvine.
Yeah.
Irvine, yeah. I have a friend on the Diablo team.
Irvine.
Which was interesting because he had just told me not too long ago that he had got staff. He'd been there for like a year and was still considered a freelance employee. And to be staff at Blizzard, I guess, is a pretty big deal because you then get thrown into the bonus pool, which at Blizzard's huge. Those games sell whether they suck balls or not. They're just going to sell.
Beyond the bonus pool, though, let's talk about the gifts that you get for having been there for a while. You guys know this?
Pretty cool. I remember some, Josh. I don't know if you know these. These are pretty cool.
If you've been there for 1 year, maybe this isn't quite right. Maybe it's not 1 year. I think if you've been there for 5 years.
I think it's 5 years when they start giving you cool shit.
You get like a full-on sword.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I have
like
heard
a
of,
full-on like Lord of the Rings decked out metal.
because there was like a woman who was just like,
sword.
"What am I going to do with this?"
Well,
and I remember there was like an article, and she was just like, well, "I don't want a staff, or I don't want a sword." And
If you're into those kinds of things.
But then at 10 years, it's like you get a shield.
It's a shield, yeah.
And it's like got all these engravings of all the different.
which is fucking awesome.
Yeah. And then if you're there for 20 years, you get like a full-on helmet, like whatever, chainmail style.
God, that'd be so cool.
Metal helmet. Like
It's so cool.
In 40 years, I'll be able to fight on the battlefield, is what you're telling
so
me.
good.
at 40 years, they give you a horse. On your way.
I ride my steed in with all my gear.
And at 50 years, you get a kingship.
My understanding of 50 years, you get laid off.
Oh.
That's all. Too soon? Too soon. Too soon. Hey, dude, I feel for him. In this day and age, I feel like there's very far and few places that were left for an artist to go work in the film or game industry that we could have considered being untainted
Yeah.
by the recession, by the economy, that you could walk in and go, man, if I get hired there, dude, I am set.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get let go.
Yeah.
But reality seems to be catching up with everybody.
Yep.
I guess Valve is one that you don't really ever hear about getting laid off from.
That is true.
But
Valve
They
seems
did
to
a
weather the
small
storms.
little one.
But I bet we
could
could find stories and get guys to come on the
True.
show and be like, screw that place.
Very true.
The one places though too you will have pretty consistent work is
The IRS.
Yes, they're set.
is like at 2K with 2K Sports, like when I was at, because every year they're creating a sports title, and it's not like Halo and then Halo 2 gets like done right away. It's like my section of Halo is done. I have to wait till they start making Halo 2. With a sports franchise company, you're sitting there, it's just like, okay, my hockey game was done. Now I have to do the baseball game. Now I have to do the basketball game. Now I have to do the college game. So you have constant, and it's 2008, 2009, 2010, and they do that every single year. They don't skip a year.
Well, the other reason that it's really, really stable is because no one wants to work there because their games suck.
Oh,
Really?
Just teasing Josh.
Hey, Josh. Zing.
zing, bazinga.
No, but that's where Joe worked. First employee, EA Tiburon. That's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods and Madden. They can go on this vicious cycle of kicking those. Oh, hey, I'm a fan of Tiger Woods at least, but they can get this vicious cycle of kicking these out. And the same with film. The only difference with film is that's been the issue. You have, they try to put out a slate that they're going to want to work on moving forward, and you might be on a project, but then if that slate changes or they say, hey, we're pushing a movie, you're out of a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the reality that the three of us are used to hearing, whereas games used to be that sort of, you don't get paid as much, but you got a job for as long as you want to stay there, kind of thing.
And it's more too, I don't want to say we've become desensitized to it, but because of the fact that we work in this industry where you are let go and you work in such short little things, that hearing about a company being laid off, it's just like, oh yeah, another one. And you just almost, not shrug your shoulders and you go like, that sucks. But, at the same time, it's not like somebody who's, been at a company for 7 years and the thought of being laid off is just mind blowing and they don't know what they would do with their lives.
It's more expected in these industries, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's, like I said, I don't want to devalue it or, say anything, but we have come a little bit desensitized to the fact that, people just get laid off. And it's just like, yeah, it happens in our industry all the time.
Well, and I think this industry in particular is one that's very much about people leaving and going to another place and they get paid more. There's a lot of jumping around.
Totally.
Here. Not to say it doesn't exist in other industries.
Not always by choice, but you're right. Yeah.
Right, but I think the volatility of job employment is something that is generally accepted as a given. You're not going to find a place that you're going to work for 40 years.
No,
that
not
will
at all.
not happen in this industry.
Hey, I'm blown away with some of the people we work with at DreamWorks, and I'm sure you even know here at you worked at DreamWorks for quite a while. People here at Disney that managed to go through the wave who have been there 15 plus years.
Yeah, which is an amazing thing, and that does happen. That absolutely does happen. But the
Blows me
norm,
away.
I would say, the norm is that you'll end up working for a couple of different shops in this industry.
Absolutely.
It's just kind of a given, and your first layoff is never fun, but it happens.
I still remember I don't really now, but I remember the conversations I had to have with my dad every 3 months.
Yeah, I remember these conversations.
You still got a job?
Yeah.
He just did not. I mean, for years, still didn't get it.
It's a different. Well, first of all, I think a different generation that's not used to that,
absolutely.
and then second, depending on the industry, a lot of people, my parents as well, don't fully understand that the volatility is just kind of a part of the gig.
Yeah, it really is.
Hey, speaking of video games.
Pew, pew, pew.
I'm going to put on my watch right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what do you think is Overwatch over my watch?
Oh,
wow, that is an incredible segue.
Your segues are insane.
Over my watch.
But you know what? I'm glad you bring that up because we have quite a few listeners who are huge Call of Duty fans, and me and Josh are somewhat obsessive about it.
Oh, I'm definitely obsessed.
And Jason can care fucking less about it. But we find that funny.
I've not played a lot in a while though. I've played maybe
played
2
last
nights.
night?
Yeah, I played maybe 2 times in the past 2 weeks.
So some interesting things for the Call of Duty Elite members who paid for a subscription. A new map came out this month.
What's it called?
Looking back at Jason's watch over his wrist, Overwatch.
Overwatch.
Right in this area right here.
Which is a little bit of an homage to, I think, from Modern Warfare 2 High Rise.
Yes.
Which takes place on the top of 2 skyscrapers.
I do remember that. And you could jump off to the side onto the...
Yeah, if you did a whole little...
The map
get up on top.
Yeah, map has a very, very similar feel. I've played it. I've only played it 3 or 4 times, and I gotta be honest, the first couple times got my ass just handed to me. But no, it was fun, and you know what? I love the idea that they're still putting content. Like for Elite subscription people who paid money and they're getting these maps early on Xbox, and that's been great. Now, what's crazy is a little story though that also with the Call of Duty franchise that I found interesting is I watched a YouTube video the other day. This is post this update with Overwatch because they also extended the prestige level from 10 now to 15 prestiges.
Now here's the thing too, because
So cool.
Yeah, Jason.
So cool.
You're a bastard.
because there are people out there, but the one thing to note too, in Black Ops there was 15 prestige levels, but it only took you to level 50 to get to a prestige. With Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, it takes you to level is it
80?
80.
80.
So it takes you 80 levels to get one, so they had less prestiges.
I'm on...
But there's people that hit that thing way too quickly, and I mean,
it took me the entire... Once I got into Black Ops, it took me the entire length of the game shelf life to hit 15. And then it felt like Modern Warfare 3 came out. I'm like, oh, now I don't get to do cool stuff. Currently in Modern Warfare 3, I'm at 7, but I have friends, our friend X Sinister, look him up on YouTube, he's awesome. He prestige now, I think he's on 11th now.
yeah, and he's up to levels. Last night he was up to he was at level 70 for that next prestige.
So with the prestiging thing, what I found interesting, so they're obviously taking it to 15. They're trying to give it some more shelf life. What was interesting from this YouTube video I watched, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy's name, was that the PC people had hacked the game a bit to see the code and sort of see what was underlying with the game, and had come to realize that they basically have embedded, not only did they have an option to go to level 15 of prestiges, but potentially go to 20.
So did they just go in the code and say, give me 20 prestiges? Give me God mode?
That'd be funny as hell if you could do that, but no.
Remember God mode? Awesome.
We remember God mode.
Quake 3, dude. But so there's potential of them taking it to 20 prestiges, which means to me it's just like are they just trying to milk it? You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to have something that keeps you going, because there's also the point of just resetting all your stats, because once you get up to, 10 levels, you can hit the button that said reset everything. So sometimes too we'd get into lobby matches and we see somebody, they're first prestige and they're level like 18, and we're like, oh, they're noobs, and it's just like, wait, no, they could be really fucking good, and they just reset their stats, and it puts
How
you
about
back
those
to the
people who reset their stats and they added the prestiges on after the fact?
Hey, I've prestiged four times. No, I've prestiged 4 times.
In life.
Nope, different game though. This is Where's My Water?
Which I finally went and tested with Jason, and that was I don't even know how much we could talk about, but it was an interesting experience to say the least.
Game testing, if you haven't had an opportunity to game test, it's a very fun experience. I mean, you get to play stuff.
A phone game at that.
Yeah.
FYI, it is fun when you've never done it.
Yeah.
Now, when you have to do it and it's your job,
it's a different story altogether.
It's a different story, let me tell you.
Well said. Well said. If you do it 8 hours every day.
Oh, God. Just picture this, okay? You're working, it's before E3, so you need to have a demo out there, okay? And you have a demo that is a hockey game. And the thing is, it is 2 minutes sped up each period. Okay, so basically you're playing for about 45 seconds a period. Okay, then as you go through, you only have 2 teams to pick. You have the Avalanche, and then you have the Devils. And you're just like, okay, and 2 minutes, and I'm done. Awesome. Okay, do it again. Do it again.
Hundreds.
Do it again.
Times.
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Over and over and over. And then, oh, wait, you've written all these bugs. You found all the problems and you submitted them. They fixed it. Guess what? Here's a new build. Do it all over again and again and again.
I love you being able to leave there going, you physically can only score 1 goal. We realized that no matter what you do, you could only get 2 goals in the whole game.
The things we would do to try to pass the time, and it was just like everybody's just like, okay, between now and 45 minutes, how many goals can you score? And we'd sit there and it's like, the winner gets $5. Everyone want to put in $5? We put in $5. And within the 45 minutes you're playing through games, it's like, I got 20 this game. And you just add it to your total and add it to your total. And then bam.
And the winner?
Yeah.
Gets $10.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Did you ever win $10, Josh?
I did. And then, yeah.
Did you, Jay, I mean, outside of the Where's My, had you ever game tested?
No.
Okay. I actually, when I lived in Florida, tried to get a game testing job at EA. And it was going to end up, when they did finally call me back for the game testing job, it was for NASCAR.
Awesome.
Part of the interview was I had to answer 10 questions about NASCAR. Josh knows me and is already laughing. Let me tell you what I knew. I knew one track, Daytona, and I knew Richard Petty at the time, and that was it. And basically, she thanked me for the interview process, said, we'll see what we can do next time, but you clearly will not work.
Yeah, you had to do the same thing in 2K as well. You had to sit there and answer, fill out a thing and be able to answer questions of, what is a first down? What is a touchdown? How would you get this? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you got to have an idea, and I don't blame them. You have to have an idea of the game going in, at least the concept of the sport, which I obviously knew nothing about the sport at the time.
Right.
But yeah, it was kind of interesting.
This is YouTube gold, by the way.
Josh?
Yes.
Hey,
camera, Josh is blowing his nose.
Exactly, I'm blowing my nose.
And
it's a live, raw human show that we have here.
For the listeners, we are starting to really get behind the hood of this YouTube thing and creating potentially a YouTube presence. We're starting to record the shows via GoPro. Jason, you got something on the tip.
There was some open joke. He
thought about it. He goes,
there was a joke to be had, but I just missed it.
Speaking of jokes,
yes,
Windows 8.
Oh, that's not a nice
dude.
segue.
I'm a Windows guy.
That's not a nice.
That is a way better segue than your watch putting it over.
That's all I had. That's all I had, Josh. I was like,
so sad.
I don't know how else to come in. Jason,
I got my work.
So
cut out for me from the next segue.
hey, actually, guys, happy Leap Day.
Oh, that's right. The Leaping Larry.
Speaking of segue.
Today is Leap Day. So today on Leap Day, February 29th, 2012, Microsoft released the Windows 8 consumer preview, which means that you can go to something.windows.com. I can't remember what it is.
Wow.
I'm going to go with HTTPS.
No, it's
colon /
consumer.windows.
www.
We'll give you a link. But
we won't.
you can actually go and download Windows 8. And there's a lot of press right now about the functionality of it, about the different features, things of that nature. And I have to tell you, I'm a big mobile OS fan. I'm a big believer in kind of getting away from the idea of the modern desktop to more of an app-based environment for our interactions with computers.
So, not to cut you up, but sort of like what Chrome does as a browser where it has like an app system.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Like that kind of a mentality. And, the iOS, the Android store or interfaces, all that stuff, where you don't actually have to go like, oh, I'm going to go applications. Let me start a new application, click on an exe file. It's like, hey, there's this idea of a self-contained application that you kind of go. Well, anyways, Windows 8 is all about this mentality. And there still is the concept of the desktop as Windows as you know it. But let me tell you, it is very much an afterthought. Like, it's there if you want it, and it's the same great Windows if you want it. But there's this whole new beautiful front end that they've put on top of Windows. And the thing that is truly brilliant, in my opinion, is the same Windows 8 can run on a tablet, it can run on a phone, it can run on a laptop.
I was impressed with that part of it. I'm definitely impressed with that.
There's just some real interesting stuff. So it's free. It's a free consumer preview for you to check out. I am assuming it ends at some point when the product goes commercial, but it's out there. And I for one, will definitely be checking it out.
Mixes with my educational copy of Windows 7.
Well, I'm sure you can. Yeah,
No,
I know. Yeah, if you have another drive, you can just install it as a second OS.
The thing, though, too, from what I've seen in the demos that I've seen, it's basically, to me, if you kind of merged the phones, the Windows phones, and Xbox, because the Xbox dashboard is made to be very with all of the kind of windows, the little squares and rectangles and whatnot, if you will.
It's Microsoft is calling it the Metro style interface. That's what they've coined. Yeah.
Metrosexual. Does it go and get pedicures and spray tans too?
Spray tans.
Does it wear a lot of pink?
Exactly.
Yes.
A lot of pastels.
Metro style interface is what they're calling it.
Slip-on loafers. Zhizhing.
I fucking love a good slip-on loafer.
But here's what's here, Josh. You're hitting the nail on the head. What's really cool is there's a whole icon set. There's a whole scheme that's going across every Microsoft device, and there's something really brilliant and conjoining about that. That's I just really like.
And I mean, I think it looks nice. I enjoy it for what it is and stuff like that. To me, it's just fluff and kind of in the way and nonsense. Like, so if I want to sit there and run After Effects, if I want to run, do I got to go sit there and find an app and flip through 7 pages of something as opposed to just, clicking on my desktop? There's a little icon right there. Click, done. I don't need to kind of fluff through. I don't need my widgets. I don't need to know the temperature it is outside of Los Angeles right now.
I could tell you.
With, my stock also clicking, that I don't use any of that stuff to begin with.
And like I mentioned, all of that stuff is still available to you. But I think the thing that's really brilliant about what they're doing is for you, me, Jack, the people listening probably that are power users that put a PC through its paces.
They would consider us.
Whoop.
Goodbye, YouTube.
Go pro down. Josh,
I'll fix it in a second.
So for
you could just use this as your.
You keep filming the carpet.
Timeout. Yeah.
So for the people who are power PC users, there's still all of that there.
No, and it's important because the way I looked at it, Josh, this is awesome right now. I wish
like
I wish we were
comedy
catching all
errors
this
in here.
That's Three Stooges, Tom and Jerry style. Is
Look into the camera.
Exactly
Look
what
into the
Josh
camera.
exactly what Josh said is that it's sort of a front end interface, sort of like right now in Windows 7. You still have an option to click on. If I think if you have Ultimate or Pro, you can click on Media Center, and it brings up a whole interface that's still there on the back on the back end to have that kind of experience. Instead, now it feels like they're going to push that to the front end, and that you're going to have to go, oh, okay. Well, I just want simple windows, dude. I need my start button. I need my programs. I just need to, which I'm glad they do. And I want to try it for that reason, because I think potentially as a media server OS, it might be awesome. You throw an IR remote on like a home media center and you have that kind of front end interface, dude, it might be amazing.
Well, and I think beyond that, for the people, I don't want to know if this is the right term, but the average level consumer who doesn't really care about Windows Explorer and having to navigate file directory structures for their information. If you can just have a swipe, click, yeah, there's what I want. That's a really nice thing. And to combine an OS that has both right on top of it. Now, to a certain degree, Mac OS X has done it as well. But I got to say, OS X, it's more of an afterthought.
I was just about to say how, to me, like what Windows 8 does with that whole interface and stuff like that, it caters to the people, too, that enjoy the simplicity of an iPhone.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's not, world, breaking any, like, mind-blowing things. It's a very simple thing, as opposed to, like Jack's HTC or something like that, which is off of Android, which you can get in and you can program shit. You can really kind of, like you said, the power user, is that what you said?
Yeah.
You have that, or you just have the iPhone, which is just hit the button and everything is just all self kind of contained in that way.
But the coolest part, though, and I think what I'm getting at is a product that combines the best of both worlds. That's cool.
Yeah.
Not a product like, I can't go on my iPhone and have like, oh, let me search directory structures and let me combine things.
No,
it's a
I agree.
simple tool. And to have this product that's both in the same exact package I think it's awesome.
Now, do you think they're going to, sorry, Justin.
No, go ahead.
Do you think they're going to do, because this could be neat, and this is back to my home theater kind of PC experience. Do you think you're going to be able to take the PC version of the Kinect and be able to, sort of like Xbox, but for a PC, sit there at your desk and go, check this out.
Absolutely.
And swipe?
I guarantee it.
Because then it could be kind of I know Josh loves his damn Kinect.
Well,
so.
no, I only like the Kinect just for the audio, functionality. I think you can do.
You're not going to get Maya.
multitasking.
You're not going to use Kinect with Maya.
No. Here's the thing.
I am.
That I wanted to say too. Like, as I think it was you sent out a video, Jason, or it was somebody, I can't remember who, but it was doing with, Connect and stuff, and it showed a guy and he was like, had his hologram.
Yeah.
Was that yours and stuff like that?
Yeah.
All that stuff is great, and this is a new way to like look at your photos and you can do this. And to me, I'm just like, how fucking
lazy are we
like
getting?
No, here's the thing. We're putting more work into things. Is it really that difficult to move your wrist about 5 degrees on your desk and hit your index finger, like right here? I'm putting this much effort into finding my picture, as opposed to, and we're gonna go here and spray this, like so many, all this gesture stuff.
I hear exactly what you're saying.
100% gimmicky and stupid. It's cool in terms of like, ooh, looking at it, but in practical use, the most stupidest thing ever.
I hear exactly what you're saying, and I have what I believe the answer, which is that Microsoft is just trying to solve childhood obesity.
Is that what it is?
Is that the bigger picture?
Absolutely.
Because I was going to say,
how
Josh,
can we get people to move more?
Josh, because someday when police drop down from the ceiling and arrest you a second before you kill somebody,
police,
you're going to go,
or the police.
or the police.
Roxanne.
Oh, you're so bad.
Awesome.
Drop down from the ceiling out of their Harrier jump jet and go, we're arresting you for a pre-crime. You're going to go, oh, fuck. I bet there's some dude sitting in a room using his fingers to push and pull and go, oh, damn, there's Josh LeBron. Let's get him.
Yeah,
you're
like
going to think
said,
twice about what you think.
Watching him do that, and then he's like, put it, and then swipe it out of the way. It's just like, okay, I click with a simple wrist gesture right at my desk. Oh, this is so hard. This is making my life so incredibly. Oh, this sucks. If only I can do all this with giant gestures. I don't know. It's so stupid.
That word.
So dumb.
I think the biggest thing to me is the fact that they're going to use the same OS across platform.
Yeah.
Meaning what you see on your phone is potentially what you're going to have on your tablet compared to what you're going to have at home. That to me is pretty. I don't know how, The only thing with that obviously is productivity, because you're not going to have the same processors and everything, and things are going to run at different speed. And that could, as a novice user, throw you off. You're playing one game at home on your mega PC, and you're like, sweet, got the same shit on my phone. Oh, damn. Where's my water?
You just become Alabama? Like Alabama?
Oh, damn. No. I'll save that till we get our buddy James on the show. our token Bama guy. But where's my water? Wow, that just killed my battery.
Yeah.
So that Windows 8 thing, you can switch. It's literally just just from seeing the demos and stuff like that. Like that was what
they're showing off the Metro interface. But if you take your mouse and go to the bottom left corner,
you mean I don't need to twirl and do a gesture and then wave to my
do not
my computer screen for it to go
you have
away?
to twirl your mouse and then roll it over back and forth. And then you go to the bottom left of the corner, and then it pops to desktop mode.
Oh, okay.
Feel free to though.
Yeah, because this is like I just want to make an icon.
And
on my desktop.
I'm sure that you can.
Wait, let me swipe 17 pages to get to it.
I'm sure if you wanted to, you could have it launch up into default mode. But again, the idea I think that's most interesting is that it's appealing to a broader base of consumers, and I think anytime a company does that, it's interesting.
We talked about this in earlier shows. Right now, you're the Apple person that I like. And not just because you're talking about Microsoft, but because you're willing to be able to talk about things that are just cool for any company.
I really think
and I just want to give you props right now for that.
Well, thank you very much. But I would not consider myself an Apple person at all. The fact that I own a MacBook has nothing to do with... I would not consider...
iPad, iPhones, and Mac Mini? Are you there yet?
Well, I certainly have a few. I have one or two.
Josh, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
I have one or two Apple devices, but I wouldn't call myself an Apple person. And I think I've said on the show before that the Nokia, was it 900, 910, the Lumia or whatever?
Yes.
Honestly, if there's going to be an iPhone killer for me, it's going to be the Lumia. That thing is just absolutely gorgeous.
It's got good specs and stuff like that. It was probably one of the it was a CES's like top phone that they have, that they had coming out. And then what was the other one that was kind of like a runner up to it too?
Don't know.
I can't remember. But
hey, on the subject of Microsoft, just real fast. Also today at the same time they announced, you guys, I'm sure if you were like me growing up, in the 90s with computers, one of the things that was fun that came with Windows or whatever that was easily accessible was Microsoft Flight Simulator, right?
Yes.
It was I was going to go Notepad.
Notepad is
I actually was going to say Minesweeper. That's literally where my
that's
head
a good
went
one
to,
too, actually.
which I still have yet to figure out how to play.
And
I know that is stupid, and I know people try to explain it to me. It's like, you click on this. This means that it could potentially be touching one box. I'm like, well, where do I put my bomb then? And they're just like, over here. And I don't get how people do it.
So, Flight Simulator.
No, I was going to go to that. I remember it as being like the thing that the adults played. Like, I might play a game on like when I got on a computer around 95 is when I sort of got into computers a bit. My girlfriend's dad was huge into it.
And it was an interesting thing because it was like one of the first like mass scale 3D geometry things that you could kind of traverse. You could traverse anywhere in the world really. And, there's this extra aspect of I guess you could call it quote unquote gameplay of trying to simulate the controls, the environment of certain airplanes.
It's supposed to be pretty damn accurate.
I think it is. I think towards the end
as it's gotten
of it,
later.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'll say something
but
about that too.
It disappeared, right? They kind of put the kibosh on it. And then today, February 29th, Leap Day, they announced that it's being re-envisioned. It's now called Microsoft Flight. It is back. And it's re-envisioned as a product that is free to play. So you can go right now and go play Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I believe the business model now is that you can go explore all kinds of different interesting areas, but I think there are resolution packs and there are things that you can say, hey, I want to go fly around, take a helicopter and fly around Hawaii. You could update the Hawaii pack for $1, and it's like super high res, everything you could possibly want in Hawaii.
Can you imagine if they had integrated that with Google Earth?
Be interesting.
That would be pretty interesting, right? The thing with that that I always found funny with Microsoft, their flight program, is that any picture you find online, Jason, you saw this the other day with the YouTube cut I was doing,
right?
Where you were talking about devices and that one image of the 25 monitors, whatever.
I love that.
Is every image, if you look up flight sim, those people, for better use of a term here, fucking crazy.
Oh yeah,
like they build
they're
this
diehards.
Yeah, oh my
That's
god,
what I'm saying. Like,
they build a cockpit in a room.
well, like as Jason was saying too, like, you know, as time went on, the more and more sophisticated it get to where,
insane.
you know, I don't know. And Adam sent out a link a while ago, and it was, you know, 40 guys trying to take off a plane, and they were playing this flight simulator game. You know, and it was some sort of, you know, some sort of aviation, like almost like a dogfighting, you know, type of plane and stuff. But I mean, how listening to them going like, okay, I think I come over here, and it's the entire cockpit, and they're like, okay, I have to click this, and they only knew this because they looked up how to do it. And it was like this checklist of tons of things. It's like, okay, this has to wait, and it has to spool up. It has to do this. And you had to do the sequence in a certain order, exactly how you would do on a plane. And for the first, like, 15, 20 minutes of this 40-minute video, they're just trying to get it started.
It's an actual, though, simulator.
Right.
Like it was a full-blown cockpit of one of the new kinds of jets that are out there have
it was hilarious.
thousands of switches and looks like, you know, what NASA gives you to get in the space shuttle.
Right.
But they have those things, and they have like, and it wasn't necessarily flight simulator, because then that spawned different ones. Because then there was, I guess, you know, packs that you can get, like where you can do 747s, where you can do helicopters.
That's gotta be awesome
you can
to fly.
do.
Is that like Railroad Simulator? Do they have
there is a game
Walking down the street simulator.
There is a game
Every
in
day.
Japan. There is a game in Japan where you are a bullet train conductor. Where you have to get obviously
Forward.
from here. Yeah.
back?
That's basically it. Like if you were going to
Speed
take,
up, slow down.
if you were going to take the channel, you know, and take that thing
The
from
channel from Japan?
No, I was going to finish. I was going to say from like London
That
to
is
Paris
a very
or something
fast
like
train,
that.
Jason.
How are you getting to the channel from Japan?
There's another tunnel that goes
Exactly.
from Japan.
There's
to-
things I know that you don't. Okay.
Sweeps around
I have
Australia.
been
Clearly.
privy to some certain informations in this world that
that
I'm not allowed
none
to
of
talk
us
about.
know about.
I'm gonna probably be shot by the time I get home.
There's a game in Japan. You can drive a bullet train. So if you want to go through the channel, that was just a good transition.
Yes,
I like it.
I was gonna say, or like as if you were gonna use the channel from
It was a
London
segue.
to Paris. It's just like you would just be a conductor, just going okay and on, go
All aboard,
or London to
all
Japan.
off board.
London to Japan.
Hey, back real quick to the. Sorry, Josh, you were talking about the hand gestures, the Kinect stuff that you're not a big
yes,
fan of.
that big waste of time.
Yes, but I wanted to talk about briefly. There's some people. There's a big community of people actually that are like using this device for, let's just call it interesting things. I don't know if I'm going to call it useful
Good.
things, just interesting things.
Okay.
And there's one that was
I thought
released.
you were going to go a different direction. I'm sorry.
There's one that was released this week that is, I believe it was Whole Foods.
Okay.
I believe that basically put a Kinect and a little computer on a shopping cart, right? And a couple of motors. And they had a scanner on the bottom of the cart. And so you'd go in and you'd take your like Vaughn's Club card or whatever it is, right? Your club card. And you'd go and you'd scan it in front of this shopping cart. And it would say, "Hello, Mr. LeBrot. Welcome to Whole Foods. I see that you've uploaded 6 items on your shopping list today. I'd like to help you find those. Lead the way." And so you would walk and the shopping cart would literally follow you down the aisle. It would just start following you. And you'd be like, "Oh, hey, Stevie the shopping cart. Where
Stevie the shopping cart.
Where is
Stevie the T-Rex?
They're all Stevies.
It's his little brother.
They're all Stevies. Hey,
Smith?
hey, Stevie, what's on my list and where do I go?" And the shopping cart would literally say, "Oh, I see that you have pasta on your list. That's located in aisle 4. If you go up and take a left, that's the direction to go." So you're walking and you go there. And then this is what really tripped me out is the little demo or whatever. I go, "So okay, so I grab pasta and I put it in the shopping cart and there's a scanner in the bottom of the shopping cart and it says, it beeps and it says, 'Oh, great. I see that you've gotten pasta. That was one of the items on your list. However, Josh, you should probably know that you noted beforehand that you wanted this to be gluten-free pasta. The pasta you just selected is actually not gluten-free. If you'd like to substitute, it's actually located 4 feet from here on the right.
I'm guessing I'm going to get pissed at this thing at some point.
It's got to sound condescending at some point, right? Like, it's got to be like, excuse me, Mr. Geckler, you know that you chose... Oh, really? You wanted Oreos? You know there are reduced fat ones next to it.
Exactly. You're showing your douche level when you're walking through that place.
You said you didn't want donuts, Mr. Geckler.
Here's an interesting little thing too. Back in 1993 or 94, my mother pitched a similar idea to different stores like Vaughn's and Albertsons and stuff like that for something like this. And what it was for people who, say you had $20 to go to the store and that was it that you had, but you had to make it last, and you would go through the aisle. So it's basically almost like this kind of scanner gun checkout sort of thing that was attached to the cart, and you'd go around and you'd add the thing to your cart, and it would tell you A, what you just got, and B, how much it was. So you didn't have to sit there and try guessing it. It would have given you the tax and stuff like that. So by the time you're like, okay, I only have 30 more cents. And you were, instead of being up at the front going like, okay, take back blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And so she had this idea and she pitched it to the stores and stuff like that. They all said, oh, this is a great idea. But it would be completely not cost effective for us because of the fact of if you had these things attached to the carts, so many of those carts get taken, and it just became a huge expense that it wasn't going to work.
Let's go to the people who bring up too much shit and end up buying it anyways. I think they want. Yeah, exactly. I think they want people.
Yeah. So that idea. So it's just kind of funny that
have you ever seen
my mom did this about
Mama LeBron
15 years ago?
Have you ever seen,
or 17 years ago she did this?
Have you ever seen when you're driving down the street a pickup truck with those wood paneling along the side, like a kind of like a gardener's truck?
Yeah.
And they're full of shopping carts. You ever seen this?
Uh-huh.
There is a real job out there. They're called what they called silver cattle wranglers or something of that effect. But they're basically people who their whole job is to cruise around neighborhoods near grocery stores and find their shopping carts that have been taken, haul them in the back, and then haul them right back to the store.
Now imagine you had a $200 piece of equipment that's following you around, attached to that thing.
It's so funny.
There's no store that we can onboard.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
This.
When I worked at my first job was at Kmart as a stock boy, and there was a man that was his job in Miami.
And his name was
around.
Always Stevie.
Steve Smith.
You poor son of a bitch. But they could do something. I would think they could do something with the carts that's a proximity sensor to the parking lot that like locks the wheels, or you know what I mean. It just keeps it in an area. I think at that point, but.
Or your silver cattle wrangler should be a bouncer of some sort.
I mean, at the end of the day, what I took from that conversation was that Mama LeBron's a visionary.
She is.
She is.
Absolutely.
And I think she's actually, there is a thing coming up. She has a company. Patent. She has a patent on a thing called Rollator. And what that stemmed with is it was when me and my sister were, I think...
a jump to conclusions, man?
Oh my gosh, I was thinking the same thing. Awesome. Well played. A jump to conclusions.
Jump to conclusions. When I was 14 years old...
Oh, that's awesome.
My mom came because she got tired of hearing me and my sister complain about chores. And because I always had to vacuum.
That's a good idea. You told me about this.
I always vacuumed, and my sister did the dishes. Now, vacuuming takes about 10 minutes to do. It's really not a difficult thing.
Not as a kid, though. As a kid, it's an hour of your life gone.
That's what the kid just feels like an hour. And then when you've done bitching about it, I don't want to do this. It's been an hour because you've been bitching. You finally do it, and then you just complain. But my sister would have to do the dishes, and there'd be a lot of dishes, and that shit would take her quite a while. So she's just like, this is bullshit. I always have to do this, and blah, blah, blah. So my mom got tired of us arguing about that. So she wrote down just normal chores that we had in our house, laminated it, put it on a clipboard, and put numbers next to it. She's just roll. She brought home dice. She's like, whatever you get, that's what you have to do. It's in your hands. If you get it, tough shit. Don't bitch about it.
Oh, snake eyes.
Exactly. And then
I gotta clean toilets.
There's always clean the toilets and the rain gutters.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was the wild card where it's like if you got like 2 6s if you got a 12 and stuff like that.
No chores that week. That's awesome. That's awesome. So there's some real incentive.
There is like a come on.
No, it was a great idea.
That's cool.
So she's been trying to get that done, off the ground, and she's had things here and there, and she's actually going to be on this site, and it's sponsored through
the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Walmart, actually.
You get Oprah behind this shit.
Me and my
Instant millionaire.
Me and my sister.
Instant
Me and my
millionaire.
sister did a thing at the Bonaventure Hotel one time where it was doing this whole big, it was Oprah's big thing of ideas and stuff like that. And my mom is a kind of a shy person. She sucks in front of a camera. She can't take a good picture to save her life. Like, just doesn't know how to smile. She's like, I don't know. So she's just not a good people person when it came to that. So me and my sister can just yip and yap with the best of them. So we would sit there and we went and we pitched this whole idea, to this big convention thing and stuff like that to try to get on Oprah. But
Shark Tank. Get her on Shark Tank.
oh, dude, we've tried everything to try to convince my mom.
They would eat your mom up. You'd have to do it for your mom.
Careful, Jack. Careful, buddy.
No, yeah.
Oh, I love his mom to death, but I know
mom-
what he's talking
my
about.
mom
She's
would
just
get
very shy.
My
She
mom
just
would get
gets shy.
destroyed.
Which
because
is
of
funny
that.
when
And
you
then
get her
go crying
talking.
and-
When you get her talking, she's not shy.
Oh,
But
she's
I think it's
fine
getting
when it
past
comes to that. It's just that dealing with like media and stuff, and dealing with something where you have to be off the cuff, just any sort of
Mark
thing.
Cuban.
speaking
Sarah.
in public like that.
How would
my
she
mom
do
could
on
not
a Nerdtastic podcast? We'll promote the hell out of Roll a Dice.
roll the chore?
Roll a chore. That's what I love it.
Roll a dice.
It's got a nice ring to it. Where have I heard that before?
Sweeping the nation.
Then
Roll
it went
a
to
dice.
then she did a whole thing where it was just like she did like colors, so it was like for kids to learn how to do colors. It was just like you pick the color and then the name was on it. It was just like, what is this color? So it was a way for like kids to learn stuff too and stuff, and they thought it would do good in schools. And
Is it worth mentioning to anyone listening that this is a patented idea?
this is a patented idea.
Don't steal it.
Sons of bitches.
Because you can't.
There's no patent pending. It is patent.
Patent. Means you get sued.
Exactly. Go ahead and do it, because my mom probably would like the money. So go ahead, try to do it. Try to do
She
it.
actually, because it's not off the ground, she needs you to take the idea and make something of it.
On roll the dice. Name it roll the dice.
Roll a dice.
I'm gonna change things up for a second, if that's all right. Go slightly more serious for a moment. I heard something the other day that was interesting to me, that the company OnLive, that they have expanded their service. OnLive is the game streaming. It's like Netflix for games, right? So you can stream.
It's the orange logo one, right? It's like
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. So you can stream basically the video source from a server somewhere to your home, just like you're doing with Netflix, right? That you don't own the video. The videos all exist on a server. You're just streaming live the actual video feed. So it's a similar type of idea. Well, they took it one step further, and not just streaming gameplay to like a display in your home. They're actually able to take a PC computer on their server, and they can stream the video to your home, right? This is not a foreign concept, but it's becoming much more consumer driven at this point. So becoming more accessible is a good word for it. So the demo was, I could take an iPad and I could run this OnLive app, and I could say, I want to use a PC, and I could click PC, and all of a sudden I'm looking at Windows on my iPad, and I could say, let me load up Maya, and now I'm tumbling around and looking through Maya on an iPad.
But it's not your PC. It's just a PC.
The PC exists in Alabama. Some guy named Stevie controls it.
I think as a business model to have it at a company, that makes sense, because I think there's a lot of security implications that would be great for this, for securing machines. I feel, though, from a consumer standpoint, there's got to be some privacy issues, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. So you log into this computer, but you're going into you're going on a computer. If you're actually trying to get onto a computer desktop, you're doing it to do some sort of work that you may want to save, a program that you want to do. If you just are trying to browse the internet, there's 15 other different ways. Obviously, you're online to begin with to get into this program.
Right, but here's the question. What I think you're getting at is, say I want to create a file and I want to save that file. I want to use it later.
Yeah.
Do you need it? Or can it be stored somewhere else for you? There's no reason you need
It
it.
depends what it is and how comfortable you feel storing it. And,
Sure.
You know what I mean?
So privacy issues aside from
Okay.
that, like let's say as podcast for an example, what if we were recording right now to a server somewhere and the audio file was being stored on a server? I could care less if I had that audio file on my home PC, as long as I could access that from multiple locations, from my home, from work, from wherever I am. And I think that's the idea. Is the whole concept of what I'm trying to bring up is that the current model of having a desktop computer in every home, that everybody will have a computer in their home, I think that's fading. And I think it's becoming, and I've heard some interesting stuff lately that's pointing towards every person will have access to a computer via some type of thin client, some type of small device that allows you to stream video content from somewhere else. But the idea of me needing to own, Jack, you just built a nice, big, beefy computer. The idea of you needing that versus, hey, I'm going to buy a $100 little tiny box or a mini box and I'm going to stream video content and the service you pay for. Like imagine I'm going to pay for this premium service that always gets me the best specs every 6 months, meaning that your PC is automatically upgraded for you to the best possible specs that are out there every 6 months. That's a service you would pay for, but really you're not having to spend $3,000 to buy this thing. You're paying a subscription of like, I don't know, let's say $10 a month to guarantee that you always have the latest thing. There's a really interesting business model.
There is, as long as it can be segregated in terms of when I'm on this, like I'm not just getting into a PC, I'm getting into my PC. My PC is off somewhere else. I can care less and stuff like that. But when I'm logging into mine. I'm not logging into just a user thing that 900 other people are logged into.
Well, but here's the thing. Like the concept of what is yours on a computer, like what's your personal data, really only exists on a hard drive.
Correct.
Your data, a graphics card doesn't matter.
Correct.
If you could pull out a graphics card and swap in another one, that has nothing to do with your personal data. Same thing with RAM. Same thing with the audio source, whatever it is. It's the data that's important. And
Correct.
Data right now you can store in millions of different places. Yahoo Briefcase, Google Docs. You can put your data anywhere. So the idea is, I think, you could have a Josh Labrat section of data that's just yours, that's not accessible to anybody. And then you can log on to this service and it has 60 high-end graphics cards. You're paying for the use of one of them.
Right.
And whichever one happens to not be being used at that time, your data now is driven by this graphics card. It's like a modular system on a server basis.
The one thing though too you have to take, so is it also the fact of, where's my keyboard or mouse? So is it
input devices exist on your side?
Okay.
Input devices. It's that's what OnLive is. You have a controller,
Right.
And your input goes through this little streaming device to the server, drives the content, and then it streams the display back to you.
Right.
So you will always have a display, an output device, and an input device, a keyboard, a mic.
You're still going to have to set up a section potentially of your home or your TV.
And that's what I was getting at.
It's just you're going to have, instead of the box like I have, that that's a huge machine I have down there. You'd have a smaller, like a Mac Mini style, or smaller than that even.
Roku
device.
box kind of a thing.
My thing is the potential software. Like owning my own computer, at any point I can say, well, I need this. I need this software on there now to do X.
Sure. And
what
you legally
control?
purchase that.
Yeah, exactly. Every time.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
Wink.
Every time as I look in the video.
Before it falls over.
Yeah. So that would have to be controlled somehow. And how do they control it? And how do you interact with them and say, I need this software? And they go, well, you need to buy it. We put it on our machine, but it's not really my machine. I mean, obviously my fight will keep going back to the privacy thing, but
I mean, I could see that going two different directions. Yeah, I could see it going.
But the software
one way
thing's one way to talk about,
I could see it going one way. For anyone who has an iPhone out there, you purchase an app to your account, and now your account has information stored, data
okay,
stored.
like Steam. Or
yeah,
whatever
exactly.
the case
So
is.
Steam's a great example. So no matter which PC you're on, no matter where, if you're logged in as Jack, you can download your games. You can download your material. It's the same kind of concept. That's one way of looking at it, right? So I'm going to purchase software X, and no matter where I am, I can always use software X because I'm using this server thing. Another way of looking at it is that a very, very big picture is that the paradigm of a consumer owning a piece of software might change. And instead of you owning a piece of software, you may actually rent out a license that a company owns. So take this company that we're talking about just on live for an example. They may say, I want 600 Maya licenses. And you rent, I'm going to pay $2 a month to rent this Maya license. Now, they've purchased the license, right? But you are renting this. So if they have 600 people, the math doesn't quite add up here, but I think you get what I'm getting at, right? Like if you have people that are wanting to use their software, you're not actually buying software and no, nobody else can use it. I'm buying the right to use a piece of software. Again, your data is completely separate, but I have the right to use this piece of software. And if I'm not on, someone else can use that license because I'm just renting a license. I don't care which one it is. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if it'll ever go that way. I don't know. It changes the developer.
I think your average user is who this can. I think we're back to the average user thing, like the everyday user, the people we talked about will really maybe like that front end interface of Windows 8 went on. I think the pro user, there's going to be a lot of questions that'll just keep coming
because it also goes.
Absolutely.
It's like, so what is this saving me? It's saving me that I don't have to have a bigger box at my house, because you still need to, like, as you were saying, I was going to get that earlier too, is you still need to designate an area for that. So you still need to technically have a monitor. You still need to technically have a keyboard and mouse for this to be.
Sure.
You know, so it's like really what you're saving is you're saving the fact of that you don't have a box.
How much does a mouse cost?
I don't know, depending.
You're just comparing it to the overall price of a computer. I get what you're saying.
The price of
there.
a machine is in the display is usually pricey for a decent display, but then what you're paying for is the box.
Now, where does it not equal out? This is my question. So I had my upgrade cycle. I wish it was every year, but it's probably falls more in the line of every 4 to 5 years.
Sure.
So say I spend $1,000
remember Moore's law, every 18 months a computer processor is
absolutely.
basically obsolete.
Yeah, and I'm not. There's tons of our friends, all of our friends, who can upgrade more than I can. Financially, though, I fall into this every however many years. So for me in particular, and I guess there's a lot of people out there who are like that, especially now with the economy, where you spend $1,000 for every 5 years. How much is it? How much am I spending to keep this service going?
Yeah,
and like where does it equal out?
And that's the thing too, because when you have this box at home, as you start thinking about, okay, is it cheaper just to pay a service, or is it cheaper to actually own all of these pieces? Now, you have to then, factor in your lifestyle and factor in how much you actually use that. Because to be honest with you, I don't use my laptop anymore at all. I use my iPad way more, because really my laptop to me was just the convenience of being able to walk around, have a bigger screen, be able to fiddle around with things, look at the internet, be in bed and stuff like that, which I can do now on a much thinner tablet, which may have a longer battery life, won't overheat, and it's just all around kind of a better experience. So I don't even use it anymore, but I use my desktop still a shit ton.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I mean, I think, Jack, you kind of mentioned the average consumer going this route. I keep coming back to the idea of there being a tiered system. Like an average consumer may say, "Oh, I don't care. I just want a computer that works. That's, semi up to date. It doesn't need to be amazing, right?" And so you could say, I want mid-level computer, or even want low-level computer. And just like any other PC or any company, the top eventually now becomes the middle, which eventually becomes the low, and it's always the top is always replaced, cycling machines down. So, but if you were Josh, a professional user, you use your desktop all the time, would I rather pay $1,000 or $2,000, whatever it is, to build this crazy awesome machine now that's going to last me 4 years, but be obsolete after a year and a half? Or would I rather pay a fee, and I don't know what that fee might be, for a guarantee that every however many months or whatever, my machine, my access to this cloud was the top of the line. So I was never obsolete. I always had state of the art.
The one thing too you have to take into account is the fact is because you are going off of this cloud-based thing. It also now it depends on your bandwidth.
Yeah, absolutely.
It depends on this. So it's just like you may have this amazing processing, amazing power to do all this stuff, but your bandwidth is, this, and so your saving time takes way longer uploading this when it would have taken you 15 seconds if it was actually on your computer.
Well, me and Jason talked about that a bit, about just gamers are notorious. I'll speak from the gaming standpoint, since I was a pretty big avid PC gamer, on refresh rates and having a monitor that can support those refresh rates. So to me, thinking about times I have VNC'd into machines and got to my desktop where I could do minimal tasks,
checking email,
remotely, and open WordPad, open a browser and whatnot. When I would want to do something, say just to see if it would do it, like Maya, or maybe remotely try to launch Steam and play a game remotely, the refresh rates caught up to me, and that lag, that latency in between the what's happening on the remote box and happening on the screen in front of me were two different things.
Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying. Like, the technology has to get to a point where...
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you wouldn't pay for this service if it was an inferior product to having the machine in your home. But I think what spawned me bringing this up is OnLive demoed this, hey, let me model a sphere in Maya from my iPad.
Yeah.
And it was seamless,
Yeah.
It was not noticeably slower or noticeably poor refresh rate. It's just interesting that the technology is getting to this point where these types of things are. Hey, you could actually talk about this as theoretically possible in the next 5 years.
It definitely is possible, but when you sit there and you think about, okay, me actually working in Maya, you're not going to work on it on a tablet with your fingers.
Yeah, sure.
The power user thing we're back to. I mean, with that.
Well, but that also, minus power user, whether your power user is going to use that program.
Right.
You're not going to get like some Joe Schmo off the street opening up Maya going like, what's this, a cube? And then stretching it and squashing it. It's just like, yeah.
And for people who don't know, I mean, currently actually in Windows 7, and maybe before that, they have built-in remote desktop that's there that you can, if you feel comfortable enough using, you can do now, so that if you're at, say, Stevie's house, you could
Steve Smith?
You could get onto his computer and log into yours and see your screen and sort of do what Live's doing. The only difference is what I think, Jason, you're saying is you just physically won't have the box in front of you.
Well, it's a tough thing to get your head around, but I come back to the idea of, for the longest time, having a disc, buying a movie meant I have a disc at home was the norm. I don't know that I would say that is the norm. I would say that still happens at least half the time, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a large portion, a growing portion, that's like, I don't need a disc. I don't need a physical copy of this thing as long as I have access to it.
Right, and it's gone that route. And obviously, DVD sales across the board have taken a huge hit since the incarnation of Netflix and other streaming services, without a doubt. I mean,
well, that's that whole conversation we had that one time about it, and with physical media, and there's one thing that whenever that's broke, it's broke, and you have to go buy it again. And then as opposed to getting it on a cloud base and stuff like that, if something was to crap out, it's just like, wait, my account still says that I have it, and it's yours. Like, the probability of you losing that is a lot lower than if you were to scratch your disc.
Yeah, I think Steam's doing it right. And we've talked about this. I think that whole I'm stoked.
Yeah. Well, that's all software. But like, Josh, you hit the nail on the head. Like, if your disc gets scratched, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
If you're on a digital copy, doesn't matter.
Right.
Now this concept can extend to hardware as well. What happens when your RAM goes bad? Well, crap. Now I have to pay, $80 more for another stick of RAM. Well, no. If your hardware exists in some other company, if their RAM goes bad, that's not your fault. You're paying for a service, so they just replace the RAM.
Yeah. No, and the idea and the concept, I think, is it's a great concept and a great idea, but do I think it's useful? No. And like I said, especially now, and especially with like bandwidth and stuff, like I was trying to find a service that will back up my data just in case my hard drive crashes, blah, blah. And I'm looking at a physical, box that, I can, get that too. But, if that box fails, and so many people have gone, I use this service, it just uploads it, to their thing, and you can get it anytime you want to. And then I'm sitting there going like, okay, now I have terabytes of data. How long is it going to take me to upload terabytes of data to this company?
Yeah,
and you're sitting there and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It is completely off-putting in every sense of the way when it comes to that.
It's funny. I had never thought of myself this way till talking about this. It brings up feelings of just me having like conspiracy theory thoughts, and like I gotta be the one guy to go big brother on this. And I know you say outside of the privacy thing. That's getting to me more than anything.
Yeah, it's an issue. It's an issue.
I think of the kid who's the render wrangler who's sitting in the server rooms at said company, who's on live, who's giving us his service, and that kid's sitting there after
he's watching you watch porn.
Well, not even. Let's go past that. Let's go the uploaded video of me and said wife, Susie, not particularly you, but this could be any wife. In our sexy time video that we put up for us. Now I put it up on my computer space in on OnLive's wherever that is.
Sure.
And I just picture Stevie sitting in that server, that computer room, and cracking his fingers, going, what does the world have to offer me today?
Anonymous 2023 is going to basically own every single bit of information.
It just scares the bejesus out of me, dude.
Yeah, no,
I'm with you on the hardware base, though. I think that's the coolest concept ever.
Yeah.
I wish a service, though. Let's go this way. Let's do a subscription service. Patent pending. People listening to this creative idea I'm coming up with right now. Let's take like a Newegg style site, but let's create a service with, say, Newegg to say, here's the deal. You can buy this, or we're offering a yearly subscription base.
Right.
That will send you every 6 months the baddest thing that we sell.
It's kind of like why buy?
Video. It is, but let's just do computer parts. I think there's a market for that. It might not be huge.
You're basically leasing. Instead of a car,
absolutely.
You're leasing computer parts.
Absolutely. Or let's go separate. Let's go with a computer. And I know they currently do that to companies. They lease computers too, and then you get upgrades and whatnot. But let's go. I would love it for computer parts. I would love tiered systems. I would love even as what we do for a living. Graphics cards are huge, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Maybe I don't want the whole computer and all the pieces. Maybe I just say, hey, I want a subscription to their video card service. And every time NVIDIA or ATA releases a new gen, they come to me and say, which one do you want? That's part of your service. What do you want us to send you? And then they send me X card. Now, I think there's money to be made there on, on their end for sure, because there's going to be some guys who don't always upgrade, or maybe they don't get an email or want to keep what they have. And then I think there's money to be made there.
There is. And you would in a service like that, say, the biggest, baddest card and stuff like that right now that you can buy on the market, say, just rounding a number, $550. Okay. Now, for you to use that before the next one comes out and stuff like that, your premium of renting that out is going to sit there and have to definitely be more than as if you bought that yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the service.
You'd have to find the line there.
Well, the service
right?
would cost more than the price of buying the card, I think is what Josh is getting.
Well, not more than the price of buying a card, but in terms of longevity, just like with leasing a car, you're paying a lower amount, but you're paying it like, if you were to buy this car now, it would be cheaper.
Right,
but in a longevity run and stuff like that, by the time this came out,
it's an interesting idea.
Of just the hardware aspects, because like I said, I the privacy thing would just I'm scared now, like what Josh said with the backup thing. I've been looking for maybe a potential thing to do to back up like our photos, and as you know, Jay, you start and I know Josh knows as well, when you start shooting in RAW format,
those things are
you're getting into, and if you want to keep those, I'm getting to a point where I'm being selective of what I keep for RAW images, but You want to keep those, dude. You're like each folder's 4 gigs.
Yeah, and as quality goes up in our lives in terms of, higher rate audio service, higher rate video service, those files become a lot larger. Just like with pictures. And then the more things become digital and streaming, or not streaming, but just become in a digital fashion, stuff like that, files become larger. Your space runs out quicker.
But the question is, do you want that out there? I think that's the biggest thing, because you could argue that anything it goes out, because we're such a social media whore society now that you pick. I think NPR did a good story on this as well. And you take a picture, you post it online. Once it's online and it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
The article talked about a family who ended up going to Croatia, I think it was, or somewhere like that. They walked by a store. I shit you not. They had never been there. Were visiting like relatives, first time ever in Croatia. Walked by a store for like a deli or something, and for whatever reason, there was a cardboard cutout of their family photo from a couple years back. And they're like, what? But it was promoting the store. Like, come into our store, whatever. And
like
randomly,
families
out of the odds, it was this family. They walked in, and it was because the photo, for whatever, it would come up in like a Google image search.
Right.
Once it's on Getty Images or something.
I mean,
like
we could have a whole show on this. It's just becoming a little scary, and
there is much, much more to go on and discuss about this, I'm sure, but
we're out of time.
Are we out of time?
Probably are about at that point.
We're about at
unfortunately.
that time.
Yeah.
Well, damn.
But it is very, very interesting conversation, and I definitely agree. We quickly glossed over the security privacy issue.
Because we could have went that way, but I think I see what they're doing, and I'm sure there is a model for that. I think for companies though, where they can lock stuff down, they can lock their files down, give you only access to what they want you to have.
Right.
Like if I don't want you on Facebook or even browsing the internet, okay, the PC I'm giving you to work on at your desk just has X software.
Right.
You
don't have access.
No,
to it.
you just don't have access. And
First of all, don't work for that company.
yeah. Well, first of all, take note.
No, it is. It's interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Well, folks, on that note, it's about that time.
Yay!
It is.
And from all of us at Nerdtastic 3D. Oh, let me segue back real fast. Please check us out on Facebook. Facebook.com/Nerdtastic 3D.
Twitter.
Or our Twitter account, Nerdtastic in 3D as well. And our website, nerdtasticin3d.com, where we have all the podcasts there to stream. If you don't feel comfortable going to the iTunes cloud to listen to it there, it's something I want to bring up as well. Please leave comments, feedback.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start trying to, I did today to try to get some feedback on you guys, what you want to hear in a show.
Exactly. And we didn't get to those, so we will next week.
We definitely will.
So,
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, everybody.
thank you.
And with that, we're out.
Bye.
Nerdtastic in 3D.